If you've been following my videos recently, you know that I've been covering detailed information that Google provides on recommendations and guidelines on how to hire an online marketing person for your dental office. Now, of course, this information applies to any business, but I primarily work with dentists, so I'm discussing this within the context of a dental office. In this bullet point today, what Google specifically is saying here is, be sure to understand where the money goes. Now, this goes without saying in anything that's purchased, obviously, and I'm not a financial consultant. But in terms of your advertising, particularly in Google, we want to make sure that every cent and anything that you're spending, whether it's on Facebook, Yelp, Google, or any other primary advertising resource, we want to know where that money's going. With all the terminology and technology and everything else involved in this subject, it can get rather complex, difficult to understand, and even difficult to explain. But I'm going to walk you through on this point. Again, this is a very long article. This is a very long page and provides a lot of information. I'm just going bullet point by bullet point to make better sense, and hopefully it helps you understand the subject better. So the first thing that Google is saying here is they're separating themselves from other types of search engines. Google is a search engine, meaning it's something you can type in information and pull up data. It works like that way. And the first point they're making here is that they do not sell for better ranking in their search engine. And you might get confused on that statement because, and we're going to cover that in the next, but there's some confusing points about this. I've covered this in previous videos, but the very important thing to remember is that there's one side of Google that's free, there's one side of Google that's paid. Always remember that they're two totally separate things. And what Google's saying here is just because you're paying Google directly for their advertising space does not mean that that's going to affect your free results, where you show up just naturally, what's referred to as an organic result. It's a natural result in their search engine. So one thing to look out for are big promises on where you're going to rank in Google. This is something they highlight very specifically here. And this is a differentiation point on the advertising. So for example, I say, I'm going to rank you at the top of Google. And then all of a sudden you're seeing your company at the top of Google. Sounds great and everything, but this is where it can get confusing, is again, that's a paid advertising. And even with paid advertising, guaranteed placement is not possible. Yes, it's true. You can run your advertising campaigns in such a way and spend such amount of money to give you a better chance and give you more exposure. No question about it. Just like any advertising, a billboard, for example, you pay to have your billboard up on a street, but in Google, it's even different because you're competing for space. So imagine having a billboard up, and there's all these other factors that the billboard company is using to grade who they're going to show that day, who they're going to show that hour, on the billboard. Essentially you're competing for advertising space with other advertisers. But for us developers and SEOs and marketing specialists, right, Google provides a ton of documentation and information on how to best optimize that advertising to give basically the most bang for the buck, to ensure that you have the best shot of being displayed in their advertising space. So if somebody's searching for a dentist in your city and you have 24 other practices in the city and you're competing maybe with 10 of them, maybe not all of them are as aggressive or whatnot on their advertising, you want to make sure that every dollar you spend is going towards an optimized spend, meaning that all the precautions and all the checklists and all the details have been taken into account before that is published. Now, what Google goes on to say down here is very specific. So again, going back to the advertising, for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that Google didn't have a huge bullet point list and all kinds of other specific details about how to optimize advertising. And let's just say money was the only factor, as an example. This is not the case, but as an example. And let's say you're a dentist and you're speaking to somebody and say, yeah, we're gonna put you on the top of Google, Or better yet, in this example, we show you that we have control of where you're positioned at Google. So then they go into the advertising campaign configurations and settings and start modifying and tricking it out so that now your ad isn't showing, and they go, oh, look, see, your ad isn't showing, and then on Monday, your ad automatically is appearing again. Now this is an illusion in a way, because not even that individual can predict exactly if your ad's going to show or not, taking into account all factors that are involved in the process of displaying paid advertising. But that is something that you can also look out for. Again, I've covered this last point in other videos, but Google does designate their advertisements with an AD designation. It's just a little AD, and it just represents ad. So if you see your listings in the Google search engine and there's an AD next to them, that means that you're paying for advertising. And that goes back to the first part of this bullet point is knowing where your money goes and how it's being spent, because it's also very important to understand the difference between your advertising spend and what's being spent for the management of the advertising, the upkeep, the configuration, everything else that's involved in overlooking and overseeing that and keeping it optimized. At the end of the day, what is most important is that you know if your investment in your advertising is advantageous, profitable. Because in business, it's true. It doesn't matter if you're spending $1 a month, 1 penny a month, or $10,000 a month. As long as there's some measurable count on the productivity of that investment all the way through the process, and genuine data, mind you, meaning factual data that's coming directly from Google, that's coming directly from data sources that are reliable and connected directly to the advertising spend. As you can see, there's a lot of things to take into account when you start getting into the world of online advertising, digital marketing, whether it's TikTok, Snapchat, Google, Facebook, Instagram. It's very important you know which areas you're promoting in, if that platform is most proficient for your dental office, and does the advertising complement and correspond with your work culture and your dental office culture. And the purpose of this video is to give you genuine information that you can use, you can take, you can apply, and get the best results, make the best decisions for your dental office so you can maximize your profitability and ensure that you can keep your dental office afloat and help overall more people. And if you have any specific questions, all of our contact info is below. Please feel free to send your questions. No question is a bad question. And frankly, we love answering questions, particularly in relation to dental office advertising, promotion, and online public relations. Jason Wydro here with Golden Dental Marketing. Thank you for watching. You have a great day.